Morning, teachers. If I'm audible, please show a thumbs up. Thank you.
Yeah.
By the time teachers are joining, I will start screen share. Okay, it's already 2 minutes past 11, so I'm going to start with my presentation. Before starting, I will give my introduction. I am Madhu Vadke. This session is presented by Madhu Vadke. I'm Vice Principal at Gopi Birla Memorial School. Let's start the session from ice-breaking activity. So here is, I hope you all can see the screen.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you. Okay, here I'm presenting a food item in a bowl, and here the same food item is presented in a different format. Which one would you like to go for?
The second one, ma'am.
The right one. Why?
It is stated very beautifully.
Because of the presentation, ma'am.
The presentation, yes, the presentation is appealing. The presentation is interesting and appealing, and that's why we all would opt for the food item which is presented on the right side. So exactly same feeling is with the curriculum. So CBSE gives us curriculum, but if we give it straight, then it will appear to be an item on the left side. But as teachers, it's our duty to present it in an interesting manner that will engage the students. So this session is all about engaging the students and giving them variety of experience, learning experience. So here are the objectives. So in this session, we are going to cover how to engage all types of learners in online as well as offline face-to-face teaching learning process. We will also see some of innovative strategies in teaching mathematics. I'm sure you all will have new strategies which you are using in your class, and we can share with each other. And we'll also have to take care of the diversity in the class, because a class is like a bouquet with variety of flowers. So our children have various intelligences in the classroom, and we need to cater to each and every one. We will look at how technology and art integration in teaching mathematics can help the learners have vivid experiences. So moving on to the next slide, I have a question here: how to make mathematics interesting? Can you share your ideas, the strategies that you are using in the class?
Mathematics can be made interesting not only by just asking the students to memorize the formula, but also asking them to relate the topics to their day-to-day life. In that way, they would be able to connect more to the topic and would be able to solve the problems.
Yes, yes, very true. That is called authenticating the learning experience. So if you're not going to connect it to the real life, the learning has no meaning. They should know how to apply it in day-to-day real life situations. Any other?
We can engage with students during class.
Yes, as Kaushal Ahuja says, relating to real world. Yes, more activities, real-time examples, experiential learning. Okay, all right. So here I have listed some. First of all, the students have a binary attitude that I am either good at maths or I am bad at maths. And this myth, we as teachers have to help the students to get rid of. So every student has potential, and we have to work on every student and help them acquire the skills. So in order to do that, what we need to do is identify the strengths of the students. With respect to the understanding and the strength that the child has, we can design our lessons and present the matter. Then improved motivation. Now, again, the students get demotivated due to certain situation in the class. Can you say some examples of students getting demotivated in the class situations?
As in, whenever they are not able to answer questions put up by us, they can be demotivated.
They are not able to answer, or they answer wrong, or they have the fear of answering wrong. So that fear of answering wrong and then getting into that maths failure kind of situation stops them from participating in the class. So they don't participate. So we need to improve their motivation. So for that, we have to encourage mistake making. So when we do that, the student knows that this is my error, this is the area where I need to improve. So encouraging mistake making will lead to growth in performance, definitely. When the student makes error, the teacher can then guide. Also provide a safe environment in the class. So the words that we use, we have to be very careful. Also motivating children in front of the other, even though they have made mistake, in a positive manner, that needs to be done. So I've listed the third one, that is engaged learner. So how do we engage the learner? Any ideas?
By giving them class activity.
Yes,
Making
class
groups
activity,
involved.
hands-on activity.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes.
Engage all students together.
Yes, engaged learners, that is, you have to break the monotony of teaching. So if you just teach in one way, it becomes very monotonous for the students. So you need to incorporate various kinds of strategies in the class where you're using dramatization. You are also, using your voice modulation, presenting the matter in different forms, like using audiovisual, or making them play games, or taking them outside in the field and then making them observe, or there's a brainstorming or discussion. So different strategies. Or there is another method like questcussion. Questcussion is you throw a question and then the student discuss, this debate kind of thing. And then from there, you highlight the key concepts on the board. So as a teacher, you will be just facilitating that discussion. And the children will have the autonomy of learning. So that's the last point I have written, encourage autonomy. So students have to learn themselves. When they feel that I have discovered these things, I have learned on my own, it becomes more authentic and it remains in their with them forever. And authentic learning, we have already said, authentic learning will happen when we connect the concepts to real life. And we have to give those activities. So next, we are going to see how we can authenticate this learning and use various strategies. So here, the same things I have presented on the slide. We can have students engaged if the concepts are presented in varied form. We break the monotony by doing that. And also those students, there will be some bright students, some intermediate level, and some struggling. So we need to help them visualize and give them more application questions, activities, and also help them to move from abstraction to generalization. So this is usually how we teach, like Euclid's division lemma in 10th standard. We start with an example, show the pattern, and then come to a generalized statement. So all these are already there, we are using, but we have to use it in a mixture, provide them varied experiences. So here, to make, again, the same points are reiterated. So I'm just going through the slide quickly. So we create a lively, playful, experiential learning environment in the classroom by using different strategies and resources like technology, art integration, etc. And then we monitor the students' progress by ongoing assessments and provide feedback to them. So we are all doing these steps. So we all know that all individuals have unique thinking, and that's what make every individual different from the other. But the way we all learn should be dynamic. Dynamic means there should be growth. Only then we can say that we are learning. And to understand this, we need to understand the diversity. To be able to reach out to every child, we need to understand the diversity in the class. And for that, we need to understand that they have multiple intelligences. So how many multiple intelligences are there? 7, 8, or 9? Are you aware of the multiple intelligences that the students have?
Ma'am, I think 8, because there are different multiple intelligences like intelligence in the field of art or music or spatial intelligence.
Yes,
These are,
spatial
I think,
intelligence.
yeah.
Yes. So actually there are 9 intelligences now. The 9th one is debatable, which is called as existential. It is newly added, but many don't agree. Even I don't agree with this. However, there are others that we commonly use. Linguistic, a student who is very smart in using words, explanation, language, he's language smart. So he'll be able to express himself using words. Logical, mathematical intelligence. A person who is good at numbers will be able to calculate faster than others, apply faster than others. Spatial intelligence, a student is able to visualize. Bodily kinesthetic, a student is smart in moving around. He can use his body to express. So they are very smart in dancing and all, and using their body to express themselves. Then musical, they are oriented towards music, so they are able to compose music and sing or play instruments. Interpersonal, they are people smart, they are able to convince others, they are able to connect with others very well. So we can use these intelligences to integrate our concepts, and then the concepts become stronger. Another one is intrapersonal. They are self-smart. That means they like to be alone, and they write diaries and other things. So they like to be alone and then reflect on their growth and learning. Naturalist, they are nature smart. So when they go to the nature, they are able to connect with the nature. They are more happy being in nature. So these intelligences, there are 9 intelligences, and we can use them in the class. So I've listed some activities as per the intelligence. So if a child is having linguistic intelligence, these are the activities that can be given to the students. Storytelling. So in maths, they could use mathematician's biography and then come out with a nice story telling session, and also learn about the concepts that the mathematician has given. Dramatization, researching. So all these process writing, quizzes, board games, comic strips, and a gammograph. All these will help the student to express. So here we have an example of a comic strip where the student is talking about maths concept. So microseconds, nanoseconds, picoseconds, so something to do with the numbers. So something like this, you'll be very happy to do this activity. Then there's something called as a gammograph. This is an gammograph, which is again like a comic strip, but it is folded like a fan. You can see these stripes. So after folding, if you look at it from one side, it will have different colors, and it can have different text also. If you see it from the other opposite side, it will have different color and different text. So this is something again connected to expressing in terms of language. So here I had made my class do board games. And after making the board games, this was based on chapter 1 of 10th standard, that is real numbers. The second one, that is polynomial, and third, linear equations in 2 variables. So they used these 3 chapters, the concepts that they had studied in these 3 chapters, and they made these board games. After making, they exchanged with each other. They sat in the group and they played, and you can see the happiness on their faces. So something different from everyday learning, teaching and learning, they find these activities more interesting and they get hooked on and engaged in a better manner. So the game is designed entirely by the students. They have created the questions on different colored cards, like this one has different colors. So they indicate the difficulty level. They also wrote down the rules and all. So as the player plays, when he comes on a tile of a particular color, he has to pick a card of that color, which may be easy, difficult, or intermediate, and then answer the questions. So this way, the child is playing as well as, answering the question. He's doing these things in a group. So there's a collaborative effort in learning. There is peer learning. They are enjoying this activity and at the same time they are learning. Any activities that were done in your class? You can share here. Okay, we'll move on to the next one, that is logical intelligence, which will involve activities which have problem solving, measuring data, collecting data, and then organizing this data in a manner that it justifies or verifies a mathematical law. So this involves critical thinking. So some examples are given: coding and programming. All these can be given to the students who have logical intelligence. So there'll be some activities which will cater to 2 or 3 intelligences. So that is again good, like demonstrating is one which uses language, logical intelligence, and also it will make the child compute in a setup which is real life experience. So like this, the student can classify, constructing, giving timelines. All these activities can cater to the students having logical intelligence. So as teachers, we have to design these. So this is something we had done in our school with inclinometer. Inclinometer, anybody knows what is an inclinometer?
A
Or a
device
clinometer.
which tells us about the angle of elevation.
Yes, it's a small device that measures the angle of elevation or angle of depression. So the students, yes, the students make this simple device with their own hands, and they feel proud when they do this. They go out in the field and then measure. So this is something giving them a very realistic experience and also reinforcing the concept in a very interesting way. So students love doing this, and they score very well when we involve them in such activities. Then spatial intelligence will involve making 3D structures, making visual analogies. So any 3D project like this will cater to the spatial intelligence of the child. So he'll be able to, make all the objects in proportion and present it with the concepts. Pictures here to identify with spatial intelligence. The charts, organizers, sketching, patterning, visual puzzles, all collage making, all of these cater to a child with spatial intelligence. Okay, how many of you have used different activities for coordinate system in your class? Different activities other than mentioned in the textbook.
Yes, ma'am, we have done that.
Can you give example?
Ma'am, like one activity we did, it was like a football field or any playground field. It may be a football or a hockey field, and player positions are given, and the child has to identify the point of the coordinates of that player. Suppose it is player A and it is standing at 2,3. So they will identify like that. Then we can find out the distance between those two players.
Yes,
like
yes.
This.
Yes, good. You can extend this coordinate system further, because we know that this has real application in day-to-day life, GPS system. the basic concept is coordinate system for GPS system. So we can extend this concept by making them draw certain faces like wolf face, maple tree, like you said, football ground, and then they find the coordinates of the football, or it could be sea coordinate system on a sea, and then they find the coordinates of a ship approaching. So, and the distance between two objects in the sea. So something like this, which connects them to the real life, can be very interesting for the students. So students with bodily kinesthetic intelligence like to move around in the class, and they like to, they will find them always making excuses and running out of the class. So what we can do is everywhere we can have display of maths concepts. So something like this on the stairs, make maths visible. So as the students are moving up, down, in the class, outside corridors, maths displays will help them reinforce the concepts. So maths displays can be something like this, where some errors are highlighted. Sine x plus y is not equal to sine x plus sine y. So which will keep reminding them about any errors that they can make. Okay, Kaushal says to understand perimeter, we have measured basketball court with scale. Yes, that is a hands-on activity which can help the students understand the concept much better. Okay, moving on. We have interpersonal intelligence. So here the students can have group discussion, group work, peer teaching, go out and collect data, first-hand data, and then represent it in various forms. So all these community involvement and brainstorming, cross-age tutoring, they can teach students of the lower class. Teaching is the best way of learning. So if they can do it, it'll definitely help them in growing. So here is a question, like express the age of all your family members as squares and cubes. So this is a small question which tries to relate to the interpersonal intelligence, but you can have your own so that the student gets into a group and tries to help others as well as his own learning. So intrapersonal intelligence. So this type of student will do independent reading, write diaries, and have a lot of self-knowledge. He'll be aware of the strengths and weaknesses that he has, and that is why he'll be able to progress if right amount of guidance is given. So individual projects and independent study, all these can be given to such a student. Okay, let's move on to the last one, naturalistic intelligence, where a student learns when he is with the nature. So he has more ecological awareness, building habits is easier for him, identifying plants, animals. They are able to relate to the other species much better than the other people. So here is an example. Observe and express the Fibonacci sequence in a sunflower. The child goes into the nature, he observes and then connects maths to it. So this is something we can give for the learning of the student, enhancing the learning of the student. How many of you teachers have taught square root spirals to your student? 9th standard teachers must have taught the square root spiral.
Yes, ma'am.
When you, okay, yes, Neha. When you teach a square root spiral, you can relate it to the nature by connecting it with galaxies, spiral galaxies, even the snail or a shell. All these have spiral shapes. So you can find your own ways of connecting concepts to the nature. Now, there are some students who are good as artists, architects, musicians, designers, dancers. How do we teach these category of students? Here comes art, music, toys, and storytelling in mathematics. We can use all of these in various ways. So let's look at this. This everybody knows. Rangoli is very common example of reinforcing symmetry and pattern.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is something that can be used for reinforcing this particular topic. Then, and it involves art integration. Here is something that I had done in my class using similar triangles. So the students were asked to create design using similar triangles. So what they have done, they have used the triangles marked to and shown them similar by measuring the sides and the angles. And they have created a beautiful design. So here the creativity of the students is brought out. At the same time, the concept is reinforced. Here is another example, same example. So he's used a right angle triangle and then proved similarity. So when such activities are given, students are very happy because it breaks the monotony. Now here I have an example of the toys and sports, how they can be integrated. Okay, so what is the formula to find the circumference?
2 pi r, ma'am.
2 pi
Yes,
r.
ma'am.
Yes,
2 pi
2 pi r or pi into d. So this gives us the value of pi. Pi is ratio of circumference to the diameter. Now, here students are sitting in a circle and they are forming a diameter outside in the field. So what is done? 22 students are sitting in a circle. When a circle is made with 22 students, 7 students fit in very nicely as diameter. As they increase the number, so if they increase the number of the outer circle as 42, they'll find that 14 students will fit in as diameter. So this helps them in understanding that the ratio of circumference to the diameter is the irrational number pi. Not in the class, but in the field. So this is a playway method again. Here is another example with toys. So here there are 2 postcards which are going to be same size as rectangles. So what is done? Using the longer side, the cardboard is rolled. Then using the shorter side, the cardboard is rolled. So what is going to happen? 2 cylinders will be obtained of different volumes. Now the student has to measure the volume. So how they will measure? Using sand like this. Fill in the sand in the inner cylinder, which is inside the bigger cylinder, and then move the inner cylinder so the sand will spill. So they'll be able to see that the bigger cylinder is not completely filled, and then conclude that this cylinder, which is made using the breadth, has more volume. So when the breadth is the height of the cylinder, they have more volume. So all this is done with very simple material and they can do it on their own. It doesn't require much money and even time. Simple activities. So you can find such toys at this website, which is listed over here. You can take a screenshot, arvindguptatoys.com. There are many activities like this, which are cheap, doesn't require elaborate expenses, and also doesn't require a lot of time. This is also another method in which we can teach students. The board games that I had conducted in the class, the activity board game, there a group of students came up with role play in such a way that they were telling a story while playing the game. So they had incorporated role play, they had incorporated dramatization, storytelling, and maths. So many different things they had incorporated. And the ideas were totally original and belong to the students. I did not help them at all. So once you throw that open-ended activity or question, they will definitely come up with these ideas. So when planning a maths class, we can have these questions asked as per the intelligences, that have I incorporated as per these intelligences, and then you can make a lesson plan and try to obtain the objective that we are looking at. You can take a screenshot. This is very helpful because when you have these questions in mind, you are able to track yourself into right direction to pick up the right activity. These are few tips on teaching mathematics effectively. So when we are teaching maths, we have to look at these pointers. That is, when we enter the class, if we start with take out your textbook, notebook, and we are doing this chapter, let's continue. That itself brings the energy of the students down. So we have to see that the beginning of the class is very effective. So we have to create an effective class opener. That class opener can also be designed in such a way that it checks the previous knowledge of the students. Then when we are teaching, we have to see that students solve problems in many ways and also learn the application. Also involve the students in communicating their reasoning. So here the students need to understand why a particular step is happening. If they are able to give reason, then they have understood. And we have to authenticate learning by connecting it to day-to-day life. So these are the main things that we have to do, and then finish class with a summary always. So a very quick summary can be an exit card where you tell the students to write the best 3 takeaways of the class or something that they have not understood, so that when you know these things, you can work on those areas. So this is an example to start a class with. We can give something like this power circle based on exponents. So if you're starting a chapter with exponents, a power circle can be given and a challenge to solve it in 1 minute will be enjoyed by the students when something like this time bound is given. So there's competition in the class and they are, involved in it. Also, when they are doing this, you will know where the students are struggling. So which part they are struggling and they have not understood. So you will be able to build on those areas. Now, how to engage students fruitfully? Does anyone know what is TTT and STT stand for? Please type in the chat box if you have any idea about this. Okay, TTT stands for teacher talk time and STT stands for, okay, I have related to ratio, no. TTT stands for teacher talk time in the class. STT stands for student talk time. Can you guess what percentage of the class should be devoted for teacher talk? And what percentage of the class should be devoted to student talk? Okay, teacher 40%, that is close. Yes. So teacher talk time should be actually 30%. Yes, that's correct, Shekharji. Teachers should use only 30% of the class to talk and say something. Rest of the things should be said by the student, 70%. And then only the student will have the autonomy of learning in the class. So using IT in the classroom, we all know that it creates a dynamic interactive learning environment in the class and helps students to understand deeper into the subject than practicing continuously. So it helps the students to visualize and makes their learning more meaningful. So here are some tools, online tools that I have been using and you all can also use. How many of you have used these or some of these tools? All these are online apps which help in presenting the matter, and also the students can use them to create a variety of presentations. So quizzes is something I used to give beginning of the class to understand the level of the students and then start the chapter based on that. And they used to enjoy this quizzes a lot. Quaplet is an app which allows students to make concept map. So you can conduct an assessment. Students can design their concept maps and use various colors, arrangements, videos, links, and plug into the concept map. GeoGebra geometry, I hope all have heard this. You have figures which you can move around and then try to fit in to verify a mathematical concept. RoboCompass is an app that allows learn construction online. Then all these word wall, Flipgrid, and Padlet are where students can express in words. So this is an example which I had used in my class. This is using Poplet. Student has created the concept map for linear equations in 2 variables. So very nicely, the student has written the conditions with different colors leading to point-wise, leading to the 3 graphs, coincident, intersecting, and parallel. Likewise, there are other algebraic solutions, and he has shown examples also. So this way, a student can see this in a glance and be able to understand what all is there in the chapter. And it is his creativity. So he will have the feeling of being proud and creating something. Another student, you can also click pictures and add in this. So all this is available free of cost online, and it is really interesting for the students to use it. This is GeoGebra, where Pythagoras theorem can be taught in this manner. So there are different quadrilaterals in which the middle square is divided, which the child has to move and fit into the big square along with the small square. So it's a hands-on, but they are not cutting and pasting, which we do usually. This is online. And there'll be many more activities like this if you explore GeoGebra. So these are some of the maths activities that can be incorporated in school premises. A maths newsletter, where students write an article on maths in nature, patterns and numbers in nature, or they talk about a mathematician in their own words, their own perspective. Then maths fair, maths relay, games, competitions, all these can be incorporated in daily basis, or not daily, maybe like newsletter can be monthly and the competitions can be weekly in classroom. So there should be a maths lab, playroom, where the students can use the board games created by elder students and play them. Then other possible ideas is mathematical play, song, information, history of mathematicians. All this can be displayed in the maths lab. So this is some more activities. Again, there can be a maths day in a year, like there's an annual day and a sports day. Then quizzes involving Rangoli, Maths Mela, all these fun activities will create a learning environment for the students in the school. How many of you are including Vedic maths in the class? Okay, Prashantji, that is great. Vedic maths gives us some of the very quick methods of calculating. This is our own country's original maths. So we should use this because this is being recognized everywhere. So Vedic maths is very helpful to those students who find calculation very cumbersome. Now, we have to also interlink the subjects and cater to the interdisciplinary approach of teaching. So here is an example where the flora and fauna of endangered species in India is represented in the form of a pie chart. So instructions are given, the students represent the data in the form of a pie chart. So you are integrating art, you are integrating science and maths. Here is another one which we do in CBSE curriculum, where we connect 2 states. So we were asked to connect Maharashtra with Odisha. So these are the instructions and guidelines for the traditional art design in both the states, Warli and Sora. They are similar. So when we gave them these instructions, they came up with such beautiful paintings which were made by the students, and they highlighted the concept, symmetry, congruency, similarity, and the use of various shapes in creating these paintings. Here is another one where they have identified various concepts like spiral, fluidity of curves, and all that makes this painting visually appealing. So students are connecting the culture of the states with the mathematics. Another integration of art and interdisciplinary approach as well. So here are some tips for preparing the students for board exam. I've listed some where we tell them explain them how to answer, how many steps should be written for a question carrying a particular marks, like 2 marks or 3 marks and 4 marks. We also increase their confidence by removing the phobia, by providing a very safe environment in the class, and we identify their weak areas and work on them. Practice is the key for mathematics. Now, is there any other way in which you prepare your students for board exam? Please share. Yes, Mr. Prashant, you want to say something? Okay, with this, we come to the end of this session. If you have any questions, please come forward and ask. You can unmute. I hope I was able to, because the time was less and there were too many things which I had to speak about. However, this is not the exhaustive list, and each and everyone have their own creativities to come out with new strategies. So, thank you, Mr. Kaushal, for kind words. Okay, then I will end the session if there are no questions. Thank you all.